Ladies, gentlemen, and haradrim of all ages, the PTR for Season 7 of Diablo 4 has been ongoing for the last couple of days, and within this, a bunch of people have been testing out different builds and playstyles for their favorite classes. And first things first, it is a bit of a mess as far as balance goes, at least for some classes. There are a lot of known issues causing certain builds to overperform like all hell, and some builds to underperform too. And so, well, today we're going to be talking about the sort of ranking of the classes and their builds within the PTR so far. It's better to think of this as looking at the playstyles that are being most actively pushed or changed to try and make them strong within Season 7, as a good number of these will probably be numerically very different by the time that the season actually releases. But of course, this is still fun to look at and see. For example, the first season that Dust Devils were added, they were unbelievably silly on the PTR before it happened. They never acted quite the same way on live servers, but there was nothing quite like experiencing Barbarian in that one very specific version at that one very specific time. All that said, let's go through the best builds that are popping up for each class on the PTR so far, and first up, let's talk about Necromancer. This is sort of the talk of the town right now based around two different skills and for one main reason. Uncapped double dip scaling on ultimates. One of the largest changes to the classes going into Season 7 is that every ultimate skill in the game is gaining a bonus effect if you get it to rank 5 to give you more of a benefit for investing in ultimate skills and in an effort to create more build variety too by having more builds focused around them. For Necromancer, there are two rank 5 upgrades that have just created bustedly strong builds. The first is Army of the Dead. The rank 5 upgrade increases all damage from the skill by 125% of your skeleton mage and golem damage bonuses, which you can stack quite highly, and this is able to hit for literally trillions of damage. But then we have something even more insane, which is Blood Wave, specifically a shadow variant build around Blood Wave, but using the new Keseme's Legacy unique pants to double the waves with each cast and put a stacking debuff increase on enemies whenever they hit by the skill, and also pull enemies in. It essentially takes a fan favorite Necro build from the last couple of seasons that has been just a bit below Bone Spirit, and it gives it just enough life to potentially take the top spot. Not to mention, of course, this thing is just obviously hitting for ridiculous numbers in this footage, and that's almost entirely from the rank 5 upgrade for Blood Wave, which will likely see quite a bit of rebalancing. The rank 5 Blood Wave upgrade makes it gain damage equal to 100% of your damage while healthy and damage while fortified bonuses, and you can scale these just extremely hard for Necromancer, resulting in the ridiculous damage output that this build currently has. I would definitely expect this will still be strong when the season actually launches. They clearly want Blood Wave to be a proper thing in Season 7, but the numbers will probably be lower than this for sure. I don't think they want anything clearing tier 150 in Season 7. Next up then we have the Druid, which is also just sort of breaking things right now, doing literally negative damage actually popping up on screen because it hits the cap of damage calculations for what numbers are allowed to show on screen, one-shotting everything that it hits. This is mostly being abused in boulder builds. You can play it while staying in bear form heavily. You can also do it in Hurricane, and the reason for this is the main bug behind it, which is the newly changed Survival Instincts passive and the way that it interacts with Overpower. Specifically, this gives you a bunch of bonus damage in werebear form and at full life, but then it also gives you 1% bonus Overpower damage up to 25% maximum for every 1% difference in your current life percent and fortified life percent between you and the enemy. My guess here is we have something akin to Viscous Shield with Spiritborn in Season 6, where it's doing something like saying if you have 8,000 as your maximum life total with increases from upgrades and gear, you are actually at 2,000% life because it's calculating off of base life instead of max. Then it's also just further not respecting the 25% cap on the multiplier, instead giving you just multiple times more damage than you should be able to do due to the way that health scaling and overpower scales naturally anyways, even around this bug. All that said, this is of course making it quite hard to test things against each other properly for the class, but the two main things that are looking good even in spite of this are Cataclysm, especially with the new changes to make it count lightning bolt effects with a new aspect, and of course Boulder with Survival Instincts once it is fixed to cap out at 25% bonus multiplier instead of its current insanity. Next up on the docket today we have Spiritborn, who is again doing just crazy things but in entirely new ways. And again, this is coming from a new scaler that is supposed to have a cap and seemingly is not capped yet on the PTR, which is the new legendary aspect for Razor Wings. This makes the Razor Wings build pop off and be clearly head and tails above all the rest of the Spiritborn builds on the PTR at the moment, even things based around Rod of Kapaleke, because that was nerfed quite significantly. Specifically, this is the Endless Talons aspect, and it increases Eagle skill damage for 3 seconds with bonus stacks on Razorwing critical hits. While it says this is supposed to be a 50% multiplier at max stacks, this cap seems not to be properly in place. You can even see the buff going into thousands of stacks on the actual buff bar at the bottom, and you can reach just a ridiculous amount of percent increased damage from this if you really push it as a result of this. Theoretically, this is a known issue for the devs and will be fixed before before launch as well as the others, because it's a pretty obvious thing that's going on right now. But again, even with that said, this build is an intended focus trying to be a strong one this season. They buffed Razer wings, they added the new legendary aspect for it, and they've added a new unique weapon that ties into it as well, boosting potency skills too. So Razer wings is definitely something to keep an eye on for the new season, even with it presumably going to be nerfed at least a little bit from what it's currently doing on the PTR. After that we have the Rogue, and this one is honestly relatively simple. Rain of Arrows ultimate builds are pulling out a very surprising amount of power compared to Rogue builds from Season 6. Specifically, Rain of Arrows itself has had its base damage boosted in general, the delay to the arrow impact was reduced so it happens more reactively, the lucky hit chance was increased for the skill, and at rank 5 it got another one of those pesky infinitely scaling double dippers, giving it 100% of your damage to distant enemies stat as a damage bonus to Rain of Arrows. I have always loved Rain of Arrows as a rogue skill, and builds that you could make around it were really fun, just never all that strong. So it is cool to see it going so well right now, and unlike the Necro and Druid uncapped scalers, this isn't absolutely breaking rogue, it doesn't seem to be quite bugged, it just seems to be a little bit on the strong side of things, not even like crazy strong, but just strong compared to the general state of rogue at the moment, as it is currently doing around pit tier 120 on the PTR. So this is absolutely the build to watch moving forward if you are interested in what the new rogue builds are going to look like for Season 7. Next up then we have Barbarian, which is a couple of major quite interesting things going on for the most part. The first of which is of course the new intended main build, which is Hammer of the Ancients, exploding earthquakes on the floor, and this is looking to have quite a lot of potential long term, especially once you can actually maximize around it with better gear, though it's seemingly not doing anything that completely breaks the game right now, and with Mighty Throw seemingly not fixed completely yet, at least not in the PTR patch from what it was last season, it is still a Mighty Throw that is looking to be the main contender for the top best build for Barbarian next season if nothing actually changes on that front. That said, Barbarian does have another one of those silly infinite scaling double dip ultimates, which is rank 5 of Iron Maelstrom, scaling with 80% of your damage to injured and damage to healthy stat bonuses, and that's making that skill actually viable to build around as well. Of course, if you really lean into the scaling, you can push it quite hard, though I don't think I've seen anyone quite hit its limits on the PTR yet. Then finally we have the Sorcerer, and there's good news and there's bad news. Fireball Shatter and Firewall Firebolt Shatter are probably still going to be the best couple of builds in Season 7, at least for the pit, because their main issues, the things behind them that have made them as strong as they are, have not been fixed at all. However, Inferno with Incinerate as a pairing now has a genuine place in builds, and you can even build around them entirely and still do at least a tier 100 pit run with far from perfect gear, so that's really good to see. As well, while Ball Lightning is doing alright, don't worry that it's not doing crazy, because even before the PTR went live, it was a known issue that the Strike of Stormhorn new unique focuses 100% bonus damage effect is not currently functioning because the game is failing to realize when it's exploding at maximum range. This means the potential output of that build is basically double what it's currently doing on the PTR, at least for the Strike of Stormhorn variant. Essentially, Fireball and Firebolt are still looking to be the top dogs for pure efficiency and things like pit tier height completion, but you've got at least a couple more viable options of builds that should be a lot more enjoyable to play, especially in content, outside of the pits. That just about does it for today, everyone. Just your update on how things are seemingly shaping up as far as the new builds are going, the strong builds for each and every class as of this specific point in the PTR for Season 7. More things, of course, could crop up over the next few days, but this is how things are looking as of this immediate moment. Like if you liked the video, subscribe with the notification bell for more, and most importantly, ladies and gentlemen, until next time, stay sweet. Josh, Cotton, and Hollow with the videos, dropping the humor like a hammer on your tippy toes, bringing entertainment on a daily arrangement to take our insanity and turn it into entertainment. Yes, I said entertainment twice, to reiterate that it is nice to look into your faces on a mostly daily basis when you let us in your homes to make the whole world a stage. Goodbye.